Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, I'm coming in loud and clear for all of you here. Just wanted to check in. Wanted to also just let you guys know I am just in a funky place with AI right now. As you know, I've been kind of talking about it a lot, or I was for a while. I haven't been so much on my channel last couple months, but obviously about a year ago is when I made that big pivot of like, hey, I got to dedicate a big chunk of my time to really understanding this stuff and wrapping my head around the technology and the implications of it, because I saw it as a potential opportunity, but of course a major threat as well. And I think we're all seeing that now as it's getting better and better and better. The threat side of it for sure is becoming more and more real. So hey, what's up, Bisomatic? Good to see you. And just to be honest, there is a few interviews that I've been catching lately that have just been really disheartening for me and just discouraging. And pretty much it's just about OpenAI. And I'm sure other AI companies, of course, are going to have the same issues. But, the Sora model, that was the one that was a text to essentially like photorealistic video. It's like 60-second long video. They haven't released it, but they've been basically putting out its capabilities and showing the world what it can do. It's scary good, like how good it is. Of course, it still makes some mistakes, but like you can tell that some of those mistakes will be fixed up in due time. And then you have this whole app, one app literally, that can replace how many hundreds of thousands of jobs? Because if right now you are a videographer or you're a drone operator or you're an animator, or you're anybody that creates video content for people, B-roll, stock footage, any of that, you can now just type it into a prompt and get a decent looking video or a great looking video that's indistinguishable from a real one. And so that's kind of a big deal. And of course, there's always the dual side of it. Like I definitely always feel that there's a duality of these technologies, that there absolutely is going to be job loss. Like it's absolutely going to destroy many people's way of life, many people's income stream, many jobs. Of course, right? Every technology does that, we know, especially radically revolutionary technologies. Technologies doing things that we didn't think were ever possible, of course, are going to reinvent how we economically connect with each other and collaborate, right? But on the flip side of that, the optimistic part of me is always like, yes, it's going to create some short-term pain. But if you kind of look through the trajectory of history, all technological and industrial revolutions create short-term pain. And in the long run, they sort of scale everybody up, getting up closer and closer to the ladder of, or closer to the potential of us all, hopefully, self-actualizing, meaning that we are basically no longer having to do the jobs we don't really want to do, but we're starting to do jobs that are a little bit closer to maybe what our actual creative potential is, or something that we really love or that we really enjoy. And so if we can all kind of level up, scale up, as technology allows, basically robots and automation to take care of the sort of busy work that we don't want to. Like one example for our industry, of course, would be that with AI tools now, we can basically have our metadata, it's not perfectly done, but more or less done by AI now. We can get a lot of our stems created automatically. A lot of the sort of busy work that we don't really like doing, even analyzing a contract from a library, a lot of that stuff now can be sort of quickly done or automatically done with AI technology. So what does that do? Well, that frees us up to be able to just focus more on our creative output, which is basically, for me, it's like getting away from, creating stems. Oh my God, shoot me, right? Like how many stems and alt mixes and 30-second cut downs. It's just the worst part of this business in many ways. So you put a plugin into Logic, right? And you train it one time and you say, hey, these are the stems and the cut downs and alt mixes I need to make for every track that I create. Once I click this button, I'm going to show you how to do it once. And I want you just to remember this. So next time you start doing this automatically for me. That's the kind of stuff that I get excited about, because it basically takes off the sort of not so exciting parts of life, and it lets us just focus on making music. And I've always had this battle with my creative effort of not really being in love with the technology of creating music, really more wanting to just get my ideas that are in my head as quickly as I can onto the DAW screen and out of the speakers. And hating when I get lost in the technological glitches or not finding the right sounds or, making my mix sound great or any of that kind of stuff. So I feel like in the best case scenario, AI can help us do those sort of things. It's offload some of the things that are not exciting and get us more excited about and more focused on things that are really exciting, which is making music, for me at least. And I know a lot of you guys are probably in the same say. Absolutely. And Andrew's saying that a mate is definitely losing to work to AI. Absolutely. I don't know if you guys saw recently, DreamWorks, big animation studio, they just had a really massive, successful release with Kung Fu Panda 4, which I did go see with my 3-year-old daughter. It was actually her first movie. We had a fun time. I don't know if I really know what happened in the movie. It was so loud and colorful and bright, but she had a great time, and that's all that matters. Even after a great success like that, like the rumor mill is that DreamWorks is going to be slashing about half of their jobs. And why? Well, obviously, AI technology is obviously going to be able to, one animator is going to be able to do the job of probably 10 animators very soon, if not right now. So that's going to be something that a lot of these companies realize they are going to have to compete, like DreamWorks, the major established studio, and Pixar, big major companies like that, will have to compete with people like, not necessarily me, I'm not going to get into animation, but maybe one of you guys are really into animation, or just a single, mom and pop kind of operation where they can use a couple of AI tools like a Sora, and they can generate a high quality 4K animation. And so if their animation is more compelling, they write better stories, they have a better compelling whatever, animation style, whatever it is they can do. DreamWorks and Pixar is going to have to it's going to have to compete with literally single individuals or tiny little groups. So the writing's on the wall that we are going to need less and less human beings for a lot of these endeavors, and we're going to have basically AI doing more and more of the work. Now, that's the negative side. Of course, you see layoffs, you see people losing their jobs, not fun. But then always remember, in the long run, do you think that we are ever going to be like just not wanting any new movies or any new content or any new virtual? No, I don't think we'll ever be fully satiated in terms of what we want. New stories, new characters, new whatever. So I think instead of seeing like these major studios that are kind of putting out like big Hollywood, movies, you'll actually see a lot more independently released stuff, mostly online, but creating stuff that's on par with what you see now with DreamWorks and Pixar. So I think in the long run, there'll still be a lot of need and desire and plenty of, I think, economic like just activity in the world of animation, but it won't be centrally controlled anymore. And that's sort of like my hope with a lot of AI technology is we've gone through, think about our music industry. Where did we start off, right? With the first instance of recorded music, how could you get a hold of a recording, a piece of hardware that could record you so that you could put yourself on a record to hear yourself back? Well, a small handful of studios, small handful of recording industry executives had that technology. And so you just had to know somebody. You had to probably have a lot of money to get in there and to do it. It was not cheap to do that kind of a thing. So it was very, very tightly and centrally controlled because the technology was so expensive and so prohibitive. It was just in the hands of a small group of people. And what has happened since then, you can see, and especially now with AI, that's just getting blown wide apart. And, obviously with home studios that we all have now, our DAWs, right? Home computing, the internet and cloud computing, where we now have all these amazing, virtual instruments and plugins and samples and all this kind of stuff that we can get access to. Anybody now can create music, which creates new problems because now the market is flooded with just tons of music, and not a lot of it is that great. Some of it's pretty good, but now because anybody can make music, and now literally with AI, it's literally anybody can literally create music. So it's going to create new challenges, but I do think that that's kind of a cool trajectory that tends to allow more and more people to find their creative voice. So I think that's the plus side of it. However, let's get into what's pissing me off, because I know a lot of you guys are probably interested in that. Hey, what's up, Mark? Mark's here. Did I hear the song Rolling Stone posted? It's an old Delta Blues song, acoustic vocals. It's very good. No, I haven't heard that one. And Andrew's saying, write about rebranding as a hybrid artist and go for high budget. Yeah, we're definitely seeing we are turning that corner right now. I saw it happening last year that, being an anonymous person making, kind of stock instrumental background music. Yeah, you still got time now. It's not like done yet. And I'll tell you guys when I think that is definitely just like no longer viable. It's still viable right now, but for how long? It's not going to be around forever. So there's going to be a time where that will no longer be there. Creating much more of a unique artist brand for yourself is the move. You should be, I hope a lot of you guys are taking that advice seriously now. That's why we've been really focusing that in Sync Academy. And I put out a lot of videos on my channel here last year about that. So, hey, what's up, Tommy? Good to see you. And Mike is here as well. Good to see you guys. Don't be shy, guys. We have about 30 of you looking, and nobody's chatting. So, or very few of you are chatting. So don't be shy. But what has been pissing me off about the AI stuff? So there's been a series of interviews that OpenAI has recently been putting out there. I put a video out about the CTO's interview with the Wall Street Journal last Friday, and basically what she was saying was, I'm not going to, I don't know either. I'm not going to tell you what we're training really on, or I don't know what we're really training on. And this is the CTO, the Chief Technological Officer, sitting down with the Wall Street Journal. You'd think she'd have some preparation. She'd have an answer for this question, but she just made this confused look on her face and then got really tight-lipped very quickly to say, I'm just not going to comment on what we're training on. Now, why? Like, why? If you're doing things above board, and they are paying, I know they paid Shutterstock a good licensing fee to go train off of all their information, and you're supposedly feeling like you are confident legally to go train off of just anything online. Why are we suddenly tight-lipped about this? And then there was another interview Marques Brownlee gave with three of the, I think, engineers, or one of them was a product lead, and I don't know, they were all involved with this Sora new thing. And, you know, he asked the same question to say, like, how did you train it? What information or which videos did you send off them? And same thing. You could tell that there was some directive, probably from Sam himself, the CEO, saying, keep your mouth shut. And so they literally said, no, we're not going to get into the specifics of how we train this. And, you know, what I want somebody to ask them is why? Like, why are you not being just forthright about why you don't? You're called Open AI, which I know that was the original intent for them to be an open source nonprofit thing, and now they're not. You guys probably, if you've been following it, you know there's a lot of drama around all that. But in the spirit of open, right? Let's create some trust here. This is a very scary, powerful technology, and of course with Sora, which if you guys are paying attention, that's the writing on the wall for us. There is going to be a Sora for music at some point, right? Some people see that new Suno app is there. I played around with it. It's very impressive, but I don't think that's to that point of like, whoa, this is kind of like, because when you hear it, yeah, it's sort of like a song. It's sort of like a song that has vocals, but I don't think it's quite there to the point where you would feel like it is absolutely indistinguishable from a human created. It's great for like a demo. I think that's what it does. It creates great demos, but you still need to kind of do a final recording on it. But you guys know that when I started talking about this and the Google Music LM project was out there, many of you were saying, that's not even music. I'm not, who's scared of this? This sounds like crappy 1970s video game music. Why are you even focusing on this? This is not even good. This is terrible. And I had one person tell me, I know a tech engineer or I don't know if it was like an AI scientist, data scientist. He's telling me it's going to take at least 10 years. Music is so complex. It's so hard to figure out. There's just no way that they're going to be able to get around to this in the next year. And here we are, 1 year later, and Suno, which I think is pretty impressive, not there yet, but in 1 year, we've already gotten to the part where it can basically write you a song with lyrics, with vocals, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, Hectic is saying he played with Suno and it was both surprised the high quality it sounds and the vocals, but unimpressed by ability for the niche styles. Yeah, and there's going to be, obviously with all these, even with Sora, there's going to be limitations to all of these models as they come out. But the fact that it can do what it's doing and it's doing it this quickly, that should be the wake-up call, that it's definitely going to move faster than we anticipate, and technology moves. The reason why I knew back then music was going to move much faster than we all realized is because I've been paying attention and been very, very clued into the power of exponential technology, information technology. So basically computer chips. Anything that can be ran through a computer chip is going to get faster and double in speed pretty much every year or 2 years. And doubling is much more powerful than just incrementally, linearly getting better. Doubling means that 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 5, right? It just, at some point, these numbers and these enhancements and these leap ups start to feel like, whoa, what? That's a real, how did we get that fast? And that's how AI has been feeling to me. It's like things were just kind of, steadily increasing and getting better. And then all of a sudden it was just like, what? Like ChatGPT, what? This is possible? What? Sora's now here? What? Suno version 3, like what? It just feels like it's so big. These leaps are so big and they're so quick. And so obviously it's concerning. So I've been definitely not excited to hear these closed-lipped people on OpenAI not talk about their training. Now, I know that they're getting a lot of lawsuits thrown at them right now. So probably a lot of this is also the legal department saying, keep your mouth shut. And we are confident that what we're doing is, I'm going to play basically devil's advocate, or I'll steel man their point of view. Maybe they just confidently feel that, hey, if it's publicly on the internet, we can train off of it. That was another concern I had, is they're constantly saying like, we're using either publicly available data, basically my channel, anybody's channel on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, maybe all those, and licensed data. My question is, publicly available, does that mean public domain? Like, are they getting those two terms confused? Because just because something's out in the public, does that mean that anybody can train off of it and make a for-profit product off of it? So every movie from Hollywood is quote unquote publicly available, right? Like Netflix is publicly available, isn't it? I mean, you pay for it, but it's not like a private platform. So this is a very nebulous, not very clear legal term. Publicly available doesn't really tell you what your rights are in terms of training and especially training this brand new technology that can literally take away a lot of the income and opportunities from the people that it trained off of. That's where I think there's a kind of a big difference here. So I don't know. I didn't really like that that was kind of thrown around as if it's like, well, it's publicly available, so we're clear. I'm like, are you though? Like, I don't know. And also, when I've been uploading, I have over 1,000 videos now on my YouTube channel. Have I been giving all these AI companies permission to train off of my data and all of my videos without cutting me on at all? Is Google cool with that? Like, Google loves feeding a competitor of theirs free data. Is that part of the terms of use? I signed up. Maybe I did. I'm not a lawyer. I haven't read all the fine terms. I'm sure when YouTube was started, I don't think that was included probably in the terms. So I don't know. These are all very, very murky, very uncertain things that we don't have clear answers for right now. And so I would imagine OpenAI is obviously just marching forward with the assumption that they're going to be legally cleared, but maybe they are obviously fighting a lot of lawsuits. And so to keep themselves safe, they don't want to shoot themselves in the foot by saying something publicly that can hurt them. So they just, all their employees are just told, keep your mouth shut, say publicly available, and say licensed data, because that's what I'm hearing from basically all of them. And of course, with all of that, it doesn't breed trust. Like, I don't feel more trustworthy of these people that are training off of my data and maybe a lot of your guys' data of whatever you guys have online as well. So I'm just not really, not feeling good about it. I'm generally positive on AI technology, but this has really been souring me the last couple of days. And yes, I think Mark was talking about Sam Altman's interview with Lex yesterday. I watched that entire thing. Didn't feel more comfortable with the guy. I have never been very comfortable with Sam. I know a lot of people think he's a great, amazing, transparent CEO. I just don't trust him. I'll be honest. I don't trust the guy. There's a lot of things he says that makes you feel better, but that's his job as a CEO. And I don't think anybody should just blindly trust somebody with this much power and this ability to disrupt the world as powerfully as his company can. So I'm not saying that he has bad intentions or anything like that, but just anything that comes out of a CEO's mouth, you should always be second guessing it. It shouldn't ever be immediately the truth. You shouldn't assume that he's just got it. He's got everybody's interests at heart. No, of course, he's got OpenAI interests at heart. He's got his interests at heart. And sometimes those interests may align with ours, and other times they may not. So I think there should be a lot more skepticism, a lot more pushback, and a lot more of like, even in that interview, I wish Lex, because I think he did ask about the training data, but he didn't ask the follow-up of why, right? Okay, I understand it. You don't have to answer any question you don't feel comfortable, but why? Can you give us, is it lawsuits? Is it you're unsure? Can you just, I just wish one person who had a chance to interview these people would just give a little bit more of a question of, if you want to create an atmosphere of trust with the public, especially with a very powerful, dangerous technology, potentially dangerous technology and disruptive, to say the least, trust has got to be number one, and this is definitely not earning trust when you're just saying, sorry, not going to tell you where we're getting our information and if it's above board or not above board. I don't know. I'm not into that kind of stuff. It's not really cool. So let's see. Tommy's saying, could it be that music is not a priority for AI videos where the money is? I think music could absolutely be a big money generator. If you could type in what you need for music and get it. There's a lot of people that right now are paying for music, including in our sync licensing industry, that maybe don't want to pay so much money to human beings if they can just get it quickly. So music definitely is cheaper than video content. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right about that, Tommy, for sure. But music is still, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Our industry is definitely at least a multi-million-dollar industry. So there's still opportunity there. So I wouldn't put it past people to try to get a little piece of that for themselves if they can. So Christian's saying, I don't understand how AI training isn't copyright infringement. AI music seems to be much more akin to sampling than actual creative composition. Yeah, it's, I think the argument on their side, I always try to get out of my own bias, but I think the argument would be from an AI model point of view or a company is that this is derivative work, public, what is it called? Not public domain. Like when you're creating a sort of derivative of something that's not immediately stealing from the original content creator. And I don't remember, there's like a whole list of those things. It's been a while since I've brushed up on the legal topics of all that. But essentially you're not ripping it off. You're basically learning from it, creating something derivative. It's like kind of like fan art in a way, right? So fan art is obviously legal, and you can sell fan art. Right? We're all cool with that because you could make your own version of Mickey Mouse that looks way different, and you can sell it online. And it's one of those things where we know that you're not taking away from an original piece of Mickey Mouse art. Well, Mickey Mouse maybe not so much because they're in the original version of it is now in the public domain, the Steamboat Willie version of it, not the new current version or the more modern colorized version, but that old kind of funny looking Mickey Mouse is now in public domain. But any other famous comic book character or anything like that. We do accept that there's going to be some uses that we want to be able to create like derivative works off of it, which is acceptable. And that's basically what they're arguing, is that AI models are doing that. And in practice, I think they're actually correct. The only difference, though, is that we've never had this technology where it is, it's not one person creating, as many pieces of fan art as they can in their little home studio. This is an algorithm that can create 100,000 pieces of fan art in a second. So it is so disruptive that it's like we better pause a little bit before we just go, well, the previous law says this, so therefore we just march forward with the previous law. Maybe not. And I think that's what a lot of these lawsuits are still trying to figure out. I don't think we have figured this out at all. I think we're at the very, very beginning. The sad part of it, or the kind of uncomfortable part about it, is that the technology is moving way faster than the lawsuits are, right? So what that means, though, is that if a lawsuit comes down and says, absolutely, training on data and pumping out this content is an infringement of some sort, it's going to send a shockwave through the entire world of AI technology. And it's going to basically create pause for a lot of companies who are going, ooh, okay, we're going to have to shut this down, retool, reconfigure this. There'll have to be a lot of creative problem solving when that happens. But I don't think that's come down the pipe yet. That's what we're still kind of waiting for some of these lawsuits to sort of settle out. So, but we'll see what happens. I have yet to hear a good argument for what AI gives us in the art space that humans don't. Text-based answer, sure. Music and video, no thanks. Well, it gives it to us faster and cheaper. So, Brody, if you're, I'm always going to play both sides of the equation here. When you're saying like for me, if I wanted to go have some, B-roll for my YouTube video, and I had two options. One would be, all right, I need some B-roll of a music studio, somebody working in a music studio. Well, I can go to something like Shutterstock and pay whatever they charge. What if there's an AI, subscription model? It's $10 a month, and I can text in and type in up to 100 prompts and get 60-second videos, high quality 4K of anything that I need. And I just type in, hey, music producer in a great modern looking studio, and it gives me that. That's definitely something that's more convenient for me as a content creator. That's for a lot of people that have content on YouTube. Same thing for music, right? I want some background music, or whatever. And paying even like a Pawn 5 is more expensive than an AI generated piece of music that's, it's not going to be amazing, like the most amazing piece of creative work you've ever heard, but it's good enough and it can work as a background cue for me. That's definitely where it gives us. And I'm talking really more on, these are like transactional, almost like commercial pieces of art. Original art, that's literally just an artist singing their heart out, really communicating and compelling what's going on in their life, human to human. I don't think AI is going to be disrupting that at all. So that's not what we're really talking about here. I'm talking more about what we actually do, which is create kind of anonymous background music for an industry of audience members who don't care if we exist or don't, right? Like, red pill moment is going to be a little uncomfortable, but think about the average person watching a reality TV show or a competition show or a movie or anything, and they're listening and they're watching. Do they, first of all, notice the background music? Probably not consciously. They just kind of, the music sort of subconsciously kind of pushes a scene forward or helps set a little bit of a tone, but they're not really thinking about it. Music makers maybe are. Music creators really are tuned into that, but most people are not, It's kind of like if you're a chef and you go to a restaurant, you're paying attention to a lot of things on your plate that the average consumer just is like, good steak, really good. The chef can tell, a little too much salt here. He fried it up a little bit too much. Should have kept it on. Excuse me. A chef or a musician or a practitioner or a craftsman can really pay attention to things that the average consumer doesn't. So the average consumer watching TV, first of all, probably doesn't even notice the music. And if all of the music that was on TV suddenly got swapped out, excuse me, for like AI music, and it sounded good enough, nobody's really going to care. And certainly cable companies, network companies who are already maybe struggling right now are going to be looking for ways they can cut corners any way they possibly can. So that's where it was like kind of concerning for me at the about a year ago, But again, there's going to be opportunities still for us as content creators, as music creators in the sync space, but it's not going to look like how it has. Everything is going to change, and I think that's just a matter of time before that certainly happens. So Mark says Sam seems like a snake. I get that. I go back and forth with him sometimes, and I have to always check my own bias because none of us can read minds, of course, right? Some of you, I've gotten comments from people that think they know my point of view or my intentions, and I'm like, you're so far away from actually what's going on in my head because you're limited to basically just watching videos essentially of me, or if we've had some interactions privately or whatever, or maybe in person for SyncUp, which by the way I'm going to give a little pitch to in a second here. Yeah, we are so disconnected from each other in terms of knowing what the intentions are. I don't know. I really don't know what drives him. I know the persona that he puts out there and what he's trying to, let the world know. Obviously, I just don't automatically trust that. I don't think that's the end all be all story. I think there's probably a mix of different, whatever they're called, intentions and incentives that Sam has. So, but I don't know. I have no idea. So Trevor says that I make him feel good, but I don't trust him. Probably a good, healthy point of view that you should have. So let's see. Yeah, Mark. And Lex has, Lex's podcast, I think he's very good at making his guests feel comfortable. And I think there's probably that's a great, I'm glad that he exists. Because if he went up there and was like, no, Mark Zuckerberg, I don't believe you. I think you're lying about this. And he was giving some really hard pressing questions, or with Sam, they wouldn't come back. Right. And so I think his point of view, I've heard him many times talk about this, where he says, I want to be able to be the person where people can just come and explain their thinking and feel like it's an open, welcoming place for them to do that. Because I think the longer we sit down and have conversation with each other, the more we can kind of get to know each other, which, there's a certain extent to that's true. But you could talk to Sam for 18 hours and I don't think he's ever going to fully expose what his real true intentions are. I don't know if that's really something he would ever do with anybody. Maybe that's just something that he would only keep to himself forever. So, but it's good. I mean, I'm glad. I'd rather have these conversations with people than not, right? Isn't it more comforting to know that Sam is at least somewhat publicly available than, hey, that's a CEO that's in charge of the most powerful technology ever, and he never gives interviews? Like, that would be way more concerning, that he doesn't even want to talk to anybody. That would definitely show sign of some fear and maybe some maybe some malintentions there. So I'm glad that at least something is being spoken of. But of course, I'm looking for that one follow-up question. The Wall Street Journal didn't ask it. He didn't ask it. Marquez didn't ask it. Why? What's going on here? What are the lawsuits? Or even just say, can you just nod your head? Is it because there are lawsuits being thrown at you that you've been instructed to not really talk much about this for fear that it might jeopardize something? I would just like to get that confirmation, because that's understandable. I can definitely understand if you're in a position where your entire company could be taken out by a lawsuit. Yes, you got to fight for your company. I totally understand that sort of impulse, but just be honest about that. Be transparent about that, because just saying, nope, we're not going to talk about it, it makes me wonder how much of your data has been trained already on copyrighted stuff that you were not supposed to. And Trevor and I had a great conversation about that. Maybe I can get him on the channel. He had a really good point of view about this, which I won't share now. But there's the writings on the wall that a lot of these companies, maybe, I don't know for sure, maybe have not been doing things above board. And because none of these products or some of them are not publicly available yet, they're not being heavily scrutinized yet. But yeah, the moment that they release it publicly, there should be an immediate show your work regulation, law, or just the public, the people saying, I'm not going to use this crap unless you show me where you got it from. Your model's impressive. It's nothing without all the human beings that supplied it, right? So how are you helping those human beings thrive? And Sam has said that in words. I think content creators that help train these models should be compensated. He says that. But again, saying it is nothing. You can empty words. You can talk all day long. That doesn't mean anything. Have you actually put money in the pocket of people that have done this? That's something we should be pushing back against. And Trevor saying every 10 to 20 years, the music industry has to adjust due to technology. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Yep. And so this is not really new for us. Absolutely. Yeah, people are saying maybe copyright infringement. Let me just show you guys real quick, though. Sorry, selfless plug here. But yesterday I let you guys know that SyncUp is on the way. And I'm giving you guys, because you're here, a little sneak peek at who our guest speakers are going to be. Some of these are familiar faces. You've seen them on our channel. Trevor, who's actually here in the chat. Mike, who's one of our core, pro feedback reviewers and Sync Academy presenters, will be there as they were last year. Perry from Epic Music, who I personally have music with and have potentially might be getting a theme placement with very soon, will be there as well. AJ, who was there virtually last year, will be there in person. He is the CEO of Future Hits. He exclusively works with songs, with vocals. So if you've got songs with vocals, AJ is going to give us an amazing presentation on, actually, let me put myself back on camera here so you can see my lovely face. He'll be with us. There you go. I'll cover up my other face with my new face. He'll be there in person because he's going to give us a great presentation on how you create a sync hit song. And there are certain considerations you need to be aware of if you want to create music with vocals that can really play well for sync licensing clients. And, as everything we're talking about right now with AI, this is the direction you need to go with. With every one of these library CEOs, Trevor has tracks with vocals. Mike is looking at vocals. Perry is looking for vocals. Everybody is getting more and more requests for vocals. So we're going to have some amazing presentations from these gentlemen about that, about creating those songs with vocals. Trevor's going to give us a whole presentation also on how to start your own library. And I think these days, Trevor has kind of been making me much more aware of this. With AI tools, it's becoming easier and easier, more feasible for you to create your own library and directly start to get your own clients. And I think that will be a move for many of you guys to start thinking about making fairly quickly. Maybe not this year, but if you attend virtually or in person, you will definitely get this presentation from somebody who recently put together a library. I mean, not super recently, but 6 years ago, something like that now. So this is somebody that has some very relevant experience in this, and he's been sort of following these AI technologies and these tools very, very well. So you're going to get just a world-class presentation. I've been getting a lot of those questions lately. I'll be like, hey, Jesse, how come you never started your library? And I want to do that. How do you do that? I've never had that experience. I can't really teach you guys how to do that. Trevor can. So he's going to be there to give his own presentation on that. Timo of Sound Adventures. He was one of our CEOs recently from Sync Connect, an amazing guy with great connections. Duddy, who is the executive producer, basically the lead music producer, composer for Audio Socket, will be there. He's the actually only member of Audio Socket that's based in the LA area. Otherwise, I would get the CEO, but don't worry. Duddy will give us some great insights on working with Audio Socket, how to stand out with them, and you guys still will be able to submit your music to Audio Socket, even though he's not the CEO. And then Eric of Sonic Librarian, another new CEO that we had. All 7 of these CEOs, if you attend virtually or in person, will have the option to submit your music with a guarantee that they will listen to it, okay? Not a guarantee that they will accept it. That's up to them to decide, but a guarantee that they will click on the link that you send them, and they'll at least give it a listen to decide if this is something that they should want to partner with. And if they do, your email address, your phone number goes right alongside your submission, so they'll reach out to you directly to connect with you to give you a deal. We had many members last year who attended virtually and in person who got deals. So just so you guys know, that's still available this year, but you have to select one. Last year, I was a little more lenient with it. You could select, multiple CEOs. This year, you got to be very selective and choose one CEO that you feel is the best fit for your music. And you'll learn more about them, obviously, because each one will be getting their own dedicated panel about an hour long. And we're going to talk to them about what they're looking for, what their company's all about. We're going to play their placements in front of the camera, in front of the audience, and you guys will get to hear some of the music they're excited about. So you'll get to know very, very intimately who these people are and whether or not you feel like your music would be a great fit for them. Then we've got some composers. This is kind of something new. We had a few of these last year, but this is going to be amped up, basically. We're going to have Papstar, who was this producer who had just almost a life-ending scenario in his life in 2019, just feeling like maybe life was worth giving up on, and turning it completely around and doing great with sync licensing. And now he's basically a motivational speaker and a sync licensing producer. So he's kind of like a big flag that represents, I think, my company and represents Sync My Music, and it represents what I'm trying to do with my company, what I'm trying to give you guys. I think he's just the living embodiment of it. So I'm flying him out, and he's going to come out and give a great presentation on what happened with him and how he's found his sort of stride again. Hans has been obviously one of our amazing mentors and feedback givers and tutorial providers with Sync Academy, and he's going to talk about some of the struggles he's dealt with. There's going to be some real talk at this event, okay? I know some sync licensing events can be just rah, rah, rah. It's amazing. It's great. Let's just get pumped up. And there'll be plenty of that. Of course, you guys will feel that sense of excitement, but we're keeping it real too, because last year we talked a lot about AI. We'll talk probably less about it this year. We've sort of covered a lot of our bases, but we're definitely going to talk about the struggles of this industry. And Hans has some major successes and some great wins and some struggles. So we're going to keep it real with you guys so that you guys know you're not the only ones that are dealing with some of the struggles that you guys are going through. And that's definitely a part of this event, especially if you join us in person. creating that sense of community and friendship that we really do need. Anthony, he's one of the success stories that I recently highlighted on my channel. He's making over $20,000 a year now. Only been doing it for a couple of years, so we're going to have him up in front. I'm going to ask him a bunch of questions about how he did that. I want you guys to ask questions about how he did that, so you guys can find out from somebody who's actually really succeeding and doing well. And Yeli, of course, another one of our reviewers and another great member of Sync Academy, providing amazing tutorials from his home studio, in the Netherlands, is now partnering with the biggest, basically, library in the publishers in our industry. And he has a great success story in terms of him just starting from, having zero relationships, earning his way into the sort of, inboxes and the phones of some major decision makers in this industry, also having world-class orchestras record the music that he has composed. So I'm just really excited to have him there as a guest speaker as well. Other things we're going to be doing this year, which are new, is we're going to have in-person reviews. And yes, some of these CEOs you see right here will be the people that you can get an in-person review if you join us in person, which, by the way, we're only going to allow 50 people to join us in person. So the tickets get capped at 50. So that's going to be a kind of a cool new thing we do. We'll also have an award ceremony at the very end. We're going to call it the SyncUp Awards. I'm going to hand out 3 sort of trophy plaques to some people that attend in person. So, and we're going to have some other great features as well. So it's going to be a really cool event. So stay tuned. Tomorrow is the day that if you are in Sync Academy, you are in Sync Edge, you're in Pro Feedback, you're in any of our platforms, you will see the link first, because I'm going to be offering an early bird special to those of you that are on our platform already. So 9 a.m. Pacific time, that's when you guys can get access to this early bird tickets virtually and in person, and they are going to be definitely heavily discounted. The virtual ticket, I'll tell you, is 50% off if you guys get it during this early bird special. And these tickets will only be available to our inner community. And then, depending on if we sell all 50 in-person tickets by April 1st, by the way, that's the end of the early bird phase. If all the 50 tickets are gone by April 1st, I'll actually be kind of happy about that, so I don't have to worry about tickets afterwards. There'll be no more in-person tickets available, but the virtual tickets will definitely be available. They will be going up 50% though. So anyways, just a little quick pitch on SyncUp. I'm excited about it. This is round 2. This is the sequel. A lot of expectation, a lot of hype around, obviously providing a really high quality follow-up to the original. But I think it's going to be a great event. I loved connecting with a lot of you guys in person last year, shaking your hand, kind of getting to know your actual real story. It's so limited here with like a live stream and video and even text and email and that kind of thing with the chatting. Human to human, that's really where I think this event is really what my entire Sync My Music organization, it's like the zenith, it's the pinnacle, it is the vanguard, it's the thing that it's all meant for. Human to human, in-person relationships. The more that we can do that, the more enriched, we're going to feel, the more successful I believe we're going to be. And so I would like to, I want to do more of these. We were trying to put together a little bit of a boot camp last year, didn't quite come together. So we're going to sort of kind of bootstrap the idea of giving that in-person feedback we were going to do at the boot camp to this event. So we're going to kind of merge the two together. But yeah, I'd like to do a lot more of this kind of stuff. But if we can only do it once a year, I'm going to take what we can get for now. And that's totally cool. So June 1st and 2nd, that's the event. It's a Saturday and Sunday, 9 to 5 p.m. both days. It'll be at the same hotel we had last year. It's very close to the LAX airport in Los Angeles, California. There will be a discounted link for those of you that get an in-person ticket. And by the way, I only let those of you that get an in-person ticket know the name and the location. Sort of a secretive event. We don't want to put it out there too much publicly. Don't want anybody crashing it, of course. So we're going to make sure that we keep it nice and private and secretive to those of you that show up. But of course, you can't make it, totally understand it. Some of you are overseas. Some of you are it's just not feasible for family obligations and just the cost of travel and hotels and food and all that kind of stuff. I get it. Definitely, you still want to stream this event, and you can still have the option to upgrade your virtual ticket to get that guaranteed submission listen if you'd like to, okay? So no matter where you are, no matter how you participate with this event, you absolutely can get some great value from it. So hopefully many of you guys can show up, and I want to see a lot of you guys last year that I got to see. I'd love to see you again, but more importantly, I also want to see new faces this year. So I'm hoping that I get to meet quite a few new people that weren't there last year, so. Tommy's asking, do I think that AI can reach the sound quality we can make from just a final mix, or must the AI be able to make a track from the ground up? A lot of tracks plug in sound-ons. Yeah, there's no doubt that, I mean, you just kind of have to go to what video quality is right now with the Sora model. If you haven't seen those, but you got to go see them. Like, go look at the videos and look at the quality of that, and then just sort of understand that that is coming from music, where you won't have to get like a rough thing and then mix it and master it. There will be times where maybe you in your DAW is like using AI to create one piano lead or one thing, and then you're going to kind of mold it and adjust it or whatever. But definitely we are quickly marching towards a text or say or click a couple of buttons and finished piece of high quality, amazing music, mixed and mastered, ready to go. That's absolutely where we're going to. I don't think there's any reason why we wouldn't expect that to happen. Transparency as a value has been undermined on a societal level. It's catastrophic, and if we want to preserve it, there will need to be more of a fight than any of us want to wage. Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's tricky because it's like change is always scary, right? But I think we've all known, and I made this point at SyncUp last year. You know, let's go back to when sync licensing became a thing. Like it became an opportunity for all of us right here. Was that like during the dawn of man? No, of course. Everything had to change and change and change. And then everything basically lined up where you had cable, pretty much cable was the big one, which opened up way more opportunities. Then you had home studios, and then you had the internet. And so those three things allowed people like me, you know, and I got started in 2008. Some people were started in early 2000s. Home recording and making music from your home was basically the big catalyst, but you didn't have any place to put it unless there was cable. And you couldn't communicate with the libraries unless there was the internet, right? There was just a lot of things that had to be done to quickly open up the floodgates for us to be able to do this. So it's just to me, I don't want to get stuck in a hypocritical loop in my mind where I'm like, all of that change was great. I love the technology that the internet provided. I love technology that home-based recording provided. I love that cable was a new tech. I loved all these technologies because they opened up the door for me. But this next phase of it, forget it. This is just all bad. There's nothing good that's going to come from this. This stuff, good. This stuff, bad. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like logically, I can't weave those together. They both caused casualties, right? Like the fact that I can make music from my home studio took away money from a major recording studio, right? Because I don't have to go pay them to go make music now. I can just do it myself. So there's casualties, and people that have a way of doing business are always going to see and feel that pain. But and the tricky part of going through the change, like right now, it's easy to say, oh, all that technological change was good because we can see on this end of it, it provided the opportunities for us to do sync licensing, right? But we're not on the other end of the AI phase yet. We don't know what that next opportunity is going to be. But as long as you're open and curious about it and trying to hold on to some optimism through all of this kind of uncertainty, you'll be able to see it, right? If you're just down on it, right? I'm just be honest, I'm down on it right now. I'm not feeling very optimistic about it, but I do have this part of my brain that says, but don't stay there. Like feel how you feel. I think that it's warranted the way that I'm feeling, but don't stick your head in the sand or maybe not in the sand, but don't be a wet blanket about it all. I think that it's all going to be bad. I just don't see how we can just assume that it's always going to be bad. We just can't see the upside of it yet. But I do think if we look for it and we keep our eyes out for it, and maybe we're the ones that are going to create those upsides for it, I don't know, then we have a chance. But one way you can for sure lose out, I can tell you this. I can't tell you a guarantee of like, you know, whatever, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. I can't give you any guarantees. But one thing, it's kind of like, you know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, you will guarantee have no future or no excitement or no love for the future or music creation if all you want to focus on is the negatives of it. No way that you're going to last. There's no way. So I for myself, this is kind of I'm not trying to preach to you guys, but this is my internal dialogue that even though you feel sour about it now, you're not feeling positive. Do you want to turn into a person that's negative and overly critical and just looking for the downsides of a technology? I don't. I really don't want to be that person. I want to embrace and be open and be curious about it, even when it's uncomfortable and maybe I'm not sure of where it's going to bend, but I don't want to lose out on my optimism. I don't want to lose my sense of wonder and curiosity and excitement for the future. I'm just consciously choosing that. Even sometimes when I don't have a lot of evidence to back it up, I'm consciously choosing to try to hold on to that. It's faith. It's definitely faith. It's not evidence or anything like that, but it's just this faith, this little tiny flame where I'm like, don't lose that little tiny flickering candle in you. Because at some point, I do have faith that we will find some great opportunities on the other side, but it won't look like anything like what we're doing right now. But I can't tell you what that is. I have no idea. And some people, it's totally fair to be like, Jesse, you're just wishful thinking. It's naive. You're just la, 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 you know, hands in your ears. Just totally fair. Totally, you can level that criticism against me. I can totally understand that. I can have a conversation with you about that. Absolutely. I can understand that point of view, how it looks like that from the other side. And maybe there's truth to that. I don't know. Even if that is true, though, and if it's a choice for me to be optimistic or pessimistic, you cannot argue me out of my optimistic point of view on life. Sorry, that's one of my religions, is trying to find the silver lining in all. That is definitely that's something that's helped me in my life in so many ways, not just with my career of music, but emotionally, relationally, as a dad. Finding the silver lining in some hopeless situations is the thing that gets me through. And I don't, we don't have to get into all the specifics of that, but you will never talk me out of that. Spoiler alert. So don't try to do that. I'm going to check out some more of your guys' comments. Chad saying, I'm not going to lie, the animated AI video for social media posts for a track has been tempting to me. Yeah, absolutely. For us, even if we're like trying to put out a track and kind of showcase what we can do. And it's like, hey, what if I put in my song to this AI algorithm and then outputted a video that accommodated it based on the mood and the vibe of what I'm going for? That's kind of a cool way to share your music with the world. Visually, we are visual creatures. It definitely helps enhance music for sure. So absolutely, that could be a valuable thing that AI helps us. Jack saying, I believe the cost of AI goes down. Until the cost of AI goes down, the music industry might do okay for those that stick in it, at least those with quality music that still has a human touch. I don't know. As a music listener, I'd be interested to see artists release songs you can prompt. For example, listeners could take their favorite songs and request personal touches to it. Yeah, that'd be kind of a cool thing. Of like, again, all of these though, for me, feel like gimmicks, right? Like you've heard Johnny Cash sing I'm a Barbie girl, right? Yeah, funny and kind of crazy that that's possible. But how many people are going, I got to hear that Barbie song again, like over and over and over, and becoming a fan of this AI Johnny Cash? It's gimmicky in terms of it's exciting, it's novel, but it's not creating depth of connection between us. It's just kind of candy. It's like, that's cool. Junk food, fun, interesting. All right. No nutrition there, right? So I see human to human connection still remaining very, very top notch for AI. What I do think is going to happen is we are going to crave ourselves less polished music in the future because of AI. Because AI will create perfect music, right? It's going to train off of the best music in the world. It's going to spit out pitch perfect and timing perfect and all this kind of stuff perfect. And perfect will now become boring. And what's going to be really interesting is flaws and scratchiness and organic, kind of messy sounding music. We're going to, our musical tastes are definitely, I think, going to go much more in that direction. And kind of like now when you go to the grocery store, we expect that there's going to be a label on all the food of like, what's in this? How much salt does it have? How much sugar does it have? I think we're going to probably want some sort of a labeling system for our content that we create as well, or that we consume. So as you're listening to music, you're going to want to know, like, is this a human singer, right? How much AI was used in the creation of this? And there will be people, maybe I will be one, where if I'm listening to music, I'm going to want to put on a filter of like, don't put on any music that had any AI generation in it at all. Like I really just want, I want the real organic stuff. I want the real pain. I want the real suffering. I want the guitar riffs that a person really came up with. Like that is still going to be something that we highly value. In fact, maybe that music becomes even more valuable and we pay more for it because we're finding that that's actually what's enriching for us and more fulfilling for us. So I see actually a bright future for us, music to music, creation to creation. And there's going to be a place for AI tools to be used for some music. But yeah, when it comes to just actually, is music going to be dead because of AI? I don't think so, actually. I think music will thrive and get even more rich and more authentic and more real. I really do think that could be a trend that we can look forward to. So whereas the event, maybe I already answered this and you asked this question later, Kevin, but it's going to be in Los Angeles at a hotel very close to the LAX airport. But you can stream it online as well. So there'll be a virtual streaming ticket option where you can also jump into a Zoom kind of breakout room during our networking breaks at the event. So you'll be able to connect with people virtually if you'd like to as well. But yeah, it's going to be the same. We had the same event last year at a hotel near the LAX airport. So we're going to do the same thing. They did such a great job for us. They just took care of us. They always answered all of our requests. And it was just a great, very convenient location for those of you that were flying in, or if you live in LA, it was just really convenient for a lot of people to be able to get there. Rob is saying he's noticing a lot more real instruments in the tracks of libraries. Yep. And in our Sync Connect sessions, almost every library CEO is saying, give us more live stuff, whether it's vocals or, a recorded guitar or whatever it is. They definitely want a lot more live stuff for sure to help you create your own sonic signature and your own unique thing. They're wanting a lot more of that. Oscar is saying if AI could help producers write 20 minutes of music a day instead of 2, for example, this could potentially create more bespoke music for TV. Or example, sync composers write for specific TV shows and episodes. Yeah, definitely a possibility. Like if AI can help us get out of writer's block. So like where we're hitting some sort of a like, I'm not really digging this. If you could click on a little writer's block AI assistant that listens to it and goes, well, here's 5 ideas for where you could go. What do you think about those? That could be something that could be useful for us, right? It's not telling us what we should do. We're not clicking a button and having it write our music, but maybe it's just kind of prompting us, or it listens to our song. Like for me, I know for sure the way to get out of writer's block is to go listen to a lot of other people's music. For some reason, that just always, clears out the cobwebs and gets my creative juices flowing again. So maybe, rather than me having to go find some music, I click on that sort of unstuck me button, and it finds 5 tracks that are kind of similar to what I'm doing. And it's like, are any of these inspirational to you? That's kind of useful for me, right? Especially when I'm hitting those blocks. So I think the possibilities are limitless. Like it's just about our imagination and how we can think about these tools. So I think using AI to help the creative process, absolutely going to be something that we can all use. Right now, I'm playing with a thing called Automy, which can transform your voice into any voice you want to, basically a vocalist. And I am wanting to transform my voice for a lot of the songs that I've been writing lately. I want some songs to be an octave higher. And if you do pitch shifting in some of the plugins with Logic, it just sounds like you're a chipmunk. It doesn't sound good. And sometimes I want a little bit more of a raspy rock voice, and my voice doesn't quite do that, so I can do that. Also, maybe some tracks I write in the future, I'll need a female voice for. Some of you guys might need a female voice for some of the tracks you're putting together for a sync licensing opportunity. So it's still your lyrics, it's still your melody, but you're just feeding it through this AI algorithm that can transform your voice into something that is more applicable for whatever you need. So that's kind of a cool tool that I'm playing with right now. So again, I'm open, I'm curious, I'm playing with this stuff, especially if it helps enable me become more creative and get to my creative vision faster. That's really what I'm interested in with this AI stuff. Yeah, and Oscar's saying rather than a catalog of music that can end up on any show. Well, a catalog of music is still going to have a helpful place because especially for some like competition or reality show where like 50 tracks need to go in there to keep it going. It's nice to have like, 10,000 or 100,000 tracks sitting available, ready to go that AI could help you find and match them and then get you ready. And even maybe AI could, with these available tracks, like let's say like, I love this, but just take out this lead instrument. I don't like that. And you could just prompt that and it would just make a new mix for you immediately. And that composer would still get the placement, but we wouldn't have to worry so much about alt mixes. You could basically just tell it, give me this track, just drums and bass though. Done. Here you go. Or I like this hip hop track. Can you give me one that's a little bit more rock oriented? So take out the hip hop drums, give me rock drums. Maybe you could do something like that very quickly and still crediting the original composer. So there's still instances of that of AI, which I think could be really powerful for us as well. Mark's saying if technology only took the logical step, next step, we would never have cars. We would still have tried to make horses faster and faster. Henry Ford has a quote about that. Yeah, absolutely. So, we all on some level, consciously or not consciously, are pro technology and pro changes and pro disruptive changes because we probably all like the fact that we can get in a car and drive somewhere and not get on a horse right now. Horses are fun still, right? I ride a horse every so often, every maybe 10 years or so. But they're recreational and they're fun and it's, you don't need them anymore. And I think there's many reasons why we probably like cars more than horses. But I'm sure as cars were coming about, the biggest hubbub was, wow. I remember there were a couple of newspaper clippings I heard about recently where people thought that if you went faster than a certain speed, like you would go crazy or something like that. Like we just hadn't been going fast at all throughout all of human history. And so it's like, if you go past 40 miles an hour, like you might lose your mind or something like that, right? So all this kind of fear obviously crept into our world. Now we can laugh about it. Haha, look at how ignorant they were. But that's not ignorant at the time because we'd never gone that fast. And same thing with AI. We've never gone this fast with our compute technology. So what's going to happen? Is it going to destroy everything? Right? It's very valid in the moment of change because it's so scary and uncertain. So I don't ever want to dismiss those concerns. But look back through history. Every time there's a big, massive change, the fear mongers come out. And every single time, the fear mongers usually, well, they haven't gotten it right. However, with the caveat that there is going to be casualty, right? So I'm very, very aware that we are going to lose work. We're going to lose jobs. There's going to be a big reshuffling happening where a lot of people are going to temporarily feel some pain, and maybe for a long time feel some pain. So I don't think there's any denying that. That's definitely coming. So And I'll finish up here with Christian's comment here. Isomatic, you found out about the Automy vocals. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I might put out a tutorial on my channel about how to use it because I'm learning a lot about what it can do, what it can't do. It might be helpful for a lot of you guys. But Christian, AI assistance for composers would be great. There are many workflow points that are still cumbersome in the writing process, creatively and technologically. AI can help increase our output while maintaining human creativity and nuance. Yeah, and that's the promise of AI. I think is that it's like all the pain points we have as music creators help us get through all of those so that we can be more creative, and that's leveling us up. It's getting us higher up on that pyramid of needs into self-actualization. Less grunt work, more creative output. I think that's the promise, the excitement of AI. And that's the one I still hold on to, even though I'm a little bit in a sour mood right now, just over AI. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Appreciate the 43 of you that are still sticking here to the very end. Stay tuned. Tomorrow, big day, obviously, if you're in Sync Academy or any of our platforms. But I'll release a video here showing you in detail who those CEOs were, showing their placements, kind of giving you a sort of overview of what the event's going to be about and all the cool benefits of it. So big week for us here. Really excited about it. And if you guys can make it virtually or in person this year, June 1st and 2nd, please do. I know you'll get your money's worth. I know you're going to get a lot of value from it. And especially if you join us in person, you're not going to get anything close to that in terms of the feeling of network and brotherhood and sisterhood and the feeling of community. That was really the biggest benefit of the event. So I'm just excited to connect with you guys in person. It's basically the highlight of my year now. Just can't wait for this event. We got a couple months now. So exciting stuff is coming our way, and we'll talk to you guys really soon. Have a great rest of your week, and hopefully you guys all stay productive.